We need to shift it from being surprised when someone wants to buy and get started, like, wow, oh, okay, hold on, I don't even know where my papers are, like, I don't even know how to close this sale, right? Like, that's how most people are. They're literally genuinely shocked if something goes their way, how it's supposed to go, rather than the person with the full conviction is a person who's like, you serious? You're gonna wait on this? Are you sure? Like, you're shocked that they're not doing it right away. That's the switch. You got to flip that. So how these calls typically go, just for all of you that are new, there's a couple of things for you to know. So the way that I structure the mentorship is to have calls every 2 weeks, pretty consistently every 2 weeks. Occasionally, there's a bit of a mix-up in scheduling. And the goal is for all of us to work on 1 or 2 things during that 2 weeks to turn our challenges into our wins and then repeat that process. So ideally, for you to get the most value out of this mentorship, you are bringing your areas of struggle or challenge into the Facebook group, posting a question in there prior to the call. There's a voting system from the other students in here that can all vote on everything. And then the top votes are prioritized for the calls for us to dive into. And I give pretty long-winded answers because I try to go super deep. It gives me lots of ideas on things to talk about that are related to the question and stuff. And so that's kind of the game plan. So for everybody who's new, use this as a complementary mentorship on top of your platform, your community, your training, your essential basics that you're already doing in your business to help us kind of dive deep into areas that you might be struggling. And that's the goal. Now, when it's your question, if you're on live, I can actually ask you to unmute yourself, and then we can jam out and have a bit of a conversation. I can give you a little bit of one-to-one coaching on the question also. And usually it's really powerful because other members inside of the mentorship, they are most likely experiencing a similar challenge at some point, or maybe even right now. If you've been through a challenge that someone else is asking about and you found a solution to, please contribute in the chat and share what worked for you. And that way we can actually all raise each other up together. All right. So the top 5 questions this call are, first one is from Kim. What's up, Kim Newman? Are you on live?
Yeah, I am. Hi.
All right. Awesome, Kim. Well, I'm going to read your question, everybody, and then we can jam out about it and get some more context. Sound good?
Awesome. Yeah.
All right, sweet. So Kim says, I feel like I need to prospect my leads more. I'm good at generating a lot of attraction and drawing people in. I'm great at starting a conversation, but don't know how to convert. Help. What questions do I need to ask to find qualified leads? What questions can I ask to weed people out? How do I transition from hello to talking about the water business in a natural way? Great. So I'm assuming, are you newer in the community here, Kim?
Yes, I am.
Okay, sweet. Have you been on any calls here before?
I've been on one. I was off camera, but I've been on one.
Okay, sweet.
I just joined.
Amazing. Awesome. Welcome. So
Thank
we've
you.
talked about this a few times recently, and the strategy that has always worked really well from a conversation starter, and it's almost like a bit of an icebreaker inside of like new conversations, is leveraging what we call form. So the topics are family, occupation, recreation, money. So that you're basically talking about things that you can build rapport and trust with that are relatable to that individual. So if you're doing this primarily on social media, just to give context, are you putting organic content out there and then people are like engaging, interacting with your stuff, and then you're sending them a message? Is that what you are referring to? Or how are these conversations starting in the first place? Where are you having these conversations?
Yeah, that's definitely one of them for sure. I'm putting out organic content. I get a lot of like response, DMs, engagement, stuff like that. I will also start chats with people. Like I'll go to their page and watch their stuff and be genuinely interested in them or their content. And so we'll just start a chat. I'll see a commonality. just start chatting. I also do this with people in the world, like in physical presence.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing. I still feel like I could be anybody's best friend, but like to take that into the business and into that sale. And I even I'll put out water posts, business posts, and I'll have people engaging, asking me for the information. And then it's just like, it just no sale, like just goes, like doesn't happen.
Do you have a recent conversation on your phone that you did like in the DMs that you can share?
Oh, yes. Let
Because
me see.
I'd love for you to kind of walk us through it and be like, here's what happened. This is the post.
Oh, it's a great idea. Okay.
So
Um,
one of the things I'll just quickly share is
mhm.
if they reply specifically to like a story,
Uh-huh.
then it gives us a lot of context because we know why they're replying. Sometimes they'll just DM us sort of
Yeah.
out of the blue, and we don't really know why. Like,
Mm-hmm.
have they been watching for a while? Was it one specific piece of content that they saw that made them reach out to us? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of assuming that happens in this industry. We assume why things happen. We don't directly ask.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
one of my favorite things is to just be very direct. And so when someone DMs, it's like, "Hey, how's it going? Like, what made you reach out to me today?" And then they'll be like, "Oh, I saw one of your posts, da 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 da." And usually people go, "Great," and they just continue the conversation. For me, I
Mhm.
teach my team and myself to be like, if they say I saw one of your posts, I want to be like, "Which post?"
Right.
Which
Right.
post? And then they'll send it to me or they'll tell me about it. And then immediately I have a new frame where I'm like, oh, okay, that's not even what I thought was going on. But thanks for
Right.
sharing. All right. So, yeah, if you have an example that you feel like you were having a good chat with someone and it was going
Yeah.
good and then it just kind of stopped, that would be great for you to walk us through like what you said, what they said, kind of back and forth. And then maybe I can give you some better feedback.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. I'm trying to find some kind of between Facebook and Instagram. So like, okay, how do I like do I just say it to you? Just read
Yeah,
it to
just for now, just say it. Yeah.
you? Okay. Hold on, let me get back to my other chats.
And while she's looking for this, I want you guys to use this as an opportunity to improve the quality of your questions inside of the Facebook group moving forward. So I see sometimes questions where people are saying things like, I'm having this chat, this call, and it doesn't turn into a sale. And while I know where you're coming from as a coach, I
Oh,
can't
thank
help you
you.
because I don't know what's being.
You need a minute? No. All good. Thank you. 3 days.
I basically just don't know what exactly you're saying, what exactly they're saying. So two things. If you're
Yeah.
doing a coaching call one-to-one with someone, do it in a way where you can record the call. So do it on Zoom, not on the phone. There are some phone call apps to record too, but for the sake of simplicity, I would just use like a Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Keep those in a Google Drive folder as you record them. And
Yeah.
then if there's one that just really feels like it got away from you, like it was going so well and they said all the right stuff and you felt like it was should have been a sale and it wasn't a sale, post
Yeah.
that into the Facebook group. And
Mm-hmm.
we can and
Okay.
I can give feedback or someone else who's doing really great. And then if you have screenshots of
Yeah.
DMs
I got
back
him
and
in.
forth, same thing. Screenshot it and
So
just
great.
post it in there next time. And this is not just for you, Kim, it's for everybody. If you were
Yeah.
really feeling stuck, then it helps so much to be able to see the back and forth.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Thanks. That is like super, super helpful.
Yeah. All right.
I
So walk us
totally
through one if
get
you found
that.
one.
Okay. Yeah. There's all these different situations, right? Like sometimes I'll reach out to them. So for example, I'll just do like a short one to start because I have a couple conversations open. I've been talking about wellness things, other things, because that's like my jam. And then talking back and forth, kids, family, values, life. And then, she responds to a post about the business, like a webinar I did with my sponsor. And so then she goes like, hey, oh, like I want, what is that basically? She asked for the information and I said, hey, what's your email where I can send you the webinar? I'll share that today. Hey girl, She sent me the email and I said, got it, sent. Would love to hear why you are
Okay.
specifically. Yeah.
Pause there. Pause there. Pause
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me.
there. So this is great. This is exactly why I wanted to do this.
Okay,
So
perfect.
so remember when somebody says, "Hey, what is this? Hey, send me the information."
Yeah.
We don't actually send them the information right away.
Right. Okay.
It's too fast.
Right.
You're just hopefully optimistically like, oh, that was fucking easy. Here you go. And I just made a quad sale. It's like, no. That's not how it works. And you've clearly learned that already. That's not how it works.
Right.
So this is a great opportunity, but why I like the DMs even more so than calls for like that initial getting to know someone is because we can take a breather and take a couple minutes to like, okay, how are we going to approach the situation, right? It doesn't have to be like immediate response. You can take a few minutes or something. So in
Mhm.
this particular case, tell me one more time what she said when she reached out. What was her words?
Going back, hold on. I was writing down what you were saying. It was great. She responded to, I'm trying to go back.
I think it was, what is it, right? Something about what is it?
She said, like, can you send the link? Because I had advertised this webinar. And then she wasn't able to make it. She's like, oh, I missed it. And then I was like, want me to send you the recording? And she said, sure. When I said, okay, what's your email where I can send you the webinar? I'll share that today. And she said, hey, girl, here's my email. And so I said, got it, sent. And then afterwards, I asked her, because I've had so much conversation with her, I guess I went right to that. Would love to hear why you're interested in specifically why you're interested in making online income. What's your motivation? Would love to hear more of your story in this area. And then she shared. I can keep going. Yeah.
No, that's all great and everything. I was going to basically suggest you have that sort of conversation prior to sending the video.
Got it. Okay.
So remember, like, say again what you said to her.
At which part? The whole time?
The part where you were saying, tell me more about your motivation in this area or something like that. What did you say?
Oh yeah, I said, would love to hear why you are specifically interested in making online income. What is your motivation? Would love to hear more of your story in this area. And then she went into sharing and then we talked more about it. But
Okay. So that particular message is the message. Everything will rise and fall on that message because that's the turning point between curious to like taking a step. So if that message is kind of worded the way you worded it, which kind of sounded a little bit all over the place, no offense or anything, but just like being honest.
None
So
take.
yeah, so what we need to do is that's an opportunity for us to really tie down how badly they want this and to figure out how serious they are. Okay. So in that particular case, it would be more, we want to remember that human beings from a psychology standpoint, they're more motivated to avoid pain than they are to gain pleasure. Most people, when they're attracted to what we do about online business, work from home, time freedom, financial freedom, those kinds of key buzzwords, they're all gaining pleasure type of language.
Dang, yeah. Okay.
But what really people want deep down that they have a harder time expressing and a harder time to share with others and be vulnerable and things like this is the deep underlying fear of avoiding pain. So as an example, if you have a full-time job, the pain that you're trying to avoid is missing your kids growing up because that's fucking painful.
Right.
So even though they're saying, I want time freedom, what they are really saying when we focus on the pain is I want to avoid the pain of missing my kids grow up. Doesn't that hit a lot deeper than saying I want time freedom to frolic on the beach and tan? Right? Even though technically you could be with your kids, not miss them grow up and avoid that pain and be at the beach frolicking with them in the sun. Same thing, but one is just kind of like, whatever. It's all right. The other one's like, oh my gosh, I need that. I need to avoid that pain at all cost. Same thing with health related stuff when we're talking about the benefits of the machine is like, have more energy. You know, it's all gain pleasure type stuff. Be more hydrated, tastes so good, whatever. Nothing wrong with that. It's all true. But it's like the pain we really want to avoid is to not be diagnosed with a serious fucking illness and not have the financial means to actually treat ourselves. So one is avoiding getting sick. And two is if we get sick, can we actually afford the treatments to not die? That's like more the reality under the hood of people
Mhm.
rather than just some of the gaining pleasure type of language. So, all of you listening right now, how can you make sure that you're bringing the conversation of avoiding pain into your lead conversations more frequently than simply talking about the rainbows and the sunshine and butterflies around the gaining pleasure, which is only 20% of people's motivation, truly, and 80% of their motivation is to avoid pain. Most likely, majority of you are not talking into people's pain points enough. So back to your conversation about what you're having with your leads and the specific one that you're talking about, instead of saying what is your motivation or whatever language you used, I would say what is the deepest pain that you are looking to avoid by making money online?
Mm. Like literally ask them that
Yeah,
question.
like literally ask the question.
Okay.
Because what will happen is they'll probably pause for a moment and go, "Well, what is it?" And then the trigger that made them reach out to you might have actually been a conversation with their spouse where they're
Yeah.
maybe arguing about money, or they don't have enough quality time together, or they're frustrated and overwhelmed and can't afford to like hire help around the house because the mom is overwhelmed with this, and this, and then the dad and whatever. And like that's probably what actually happened. And then she turned around and went on her Instagram to have a little bit of downtime to try to decompress from the craziness of life, saw your post about the web class, and then reached out to you.
Yeah. That's so
Does that
right.
make sense? So when we actually realize what is the reason why someone goes from watching to interacting with you, the chances are in the not so distant past, like past 24 hours, past 72 hours, very recently in their life, there was a
Mhm.
something specific that happened around pain, around lack, scarcity, suffering, exhaustion. Those types of negative things is what they're feeling. And then it's kind of like the steam valve just goes boom. And they're like, I got to do something. And so then they're finally like going to reach out to you to ask those questions. So if you in that moment can find out, hey, listen, what is the deepest pain you're looking to avoid by starting this online business? And they take a second and go, you know what? I'm just really sick and tired of XYZ in my life. I've just had enough. You know, ever since COVID, we've barely been surviving. Debt is piling up. We're constantly stressed. We barely have any time together as a family. You want them to just kind of blow a valve at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like literally,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's best case scenario. Now, here's the most important part. What happens next?
Yeah.
They most likely have been more open and vulnerable with you in this moment if they let themselves share honestly what's going on. How you handle the next piece is critical. Because
Oh,
if you go straight into like, great, what's your email? They're like, are you serious? Like, I just opened up to you about how hard my life is. And
yeah.
you just basically went, fantastic. Let me send you the webinar. That's not good. So what we need to do is at this point is the opportunity to really build that connection, really build that relationship deeper, and reply back with some vulnerable stuff from your side of the equation. So if you
Mm.
felt similarly to what they said, share that back. If you've struggled with those same pain points or same fear, share that back and be like, listen, I totally get it. You know, a big part of the reason why I started my business is because I was dealing with a lot of what you're sharing, and I didn't want to live the rest of my life like that. And then before you send it, you want to ask a few other questions. So, like, another example could be like, what happens if you don't change anything that you're currently doing right now?
Mm. Yeah,
Because
that's great.
now what we're trying to do is, so they opened up, they're sharing the pain, they're sharing like what they want to avoid, but the fear of, oh my gosh, it's expensive, or oh my gosh, I can't afford it. Those fears are still going to creep in at some point, most likely. So now
Mhm.
we want to ask them in advance, which is the best form of killing objections, is killing them before they come up. That's the most powerful way. So if you've been doing this business for some time, you will notice that you're not getting new objections. You're actually getting the same objections over and over and over again from people. Am I right? There's only so many objections you're going to see.
Mhm.
And majority of them happen on every conversation. So if we can get ahead of that and we can start addressing some of the objections in advance before they even ask it to us, they trust us even more because they're like, damn, this person's a professional. They already know what's coming before I even know it's coming. Because they're not buying trifectas and quads every day of the week, but we're selling them every day of the week. So technically, we should be the professionals. Does that make sense for you guys?
Yeah,
So
it makes
then let's continue this from that point forward. Then what gets really amazing to do with people to avoid being ghosted and to have people like think they're interested and then nothing happens, like as you've experienced, Kim, is
yeah.
giving people two choices. So rather than having only a webinar or a web class as one choice, you go, are you the type of person who prefers to watch a pre-recorded web class, or would you rather hop on a quick call and chat with me directly?
I love that.
So now you're giving people two choices. Now they feel like they're in control. And if there's somebody who's not really into the techie stuff, or they feel like it's not as personable to watch a video, right? Then they might choose, hey, I'd rather just jump on a call with you and like get some of the info. Now,
Mhm.
if they do choose the call, you don't have to actually do like a live web class with them and do exactly the same stuff the web class would do. You're actually
Yeah.
going to use that call to build the relationship further, not get into the specifics on the business, the product, the comp plan. You're just going to talk like your
Mhm.
friends.
Wow, yeah.
And
Okay.
then after you built that additional trust, which is usually the reason why they wanted to speak to you one to one anyways, is like, are you a real person, Kim? Like, do I want to, like, do we get along? Do we have things in common? That's probably the reason why they picked that option. And then you go, great. So now you have an opportunity to connect with them, hang out on the phone or on Zoom. Zoom's the best because it's got like the video aspect as well. And then they'll start asking you some questions. So how does it work? How do you make money? Da da da. They'll get into that, and you just say, look, to be completely transparent with you, we have this automated online leveraged way of building this business. So there's no point for me to repeat what is already in a video that explains it for you. And the good news is that by you watching that video, that means that you also won't have to learn this stuff and you can send the video. So after we're done having this great conversation, I'll send you the link and you can watch it and get all the details on the business. Sound fair enough? And then instead of them thinking it's a negative thing to watch the video, they'll actually turn around and like it. They'll be like, oh, that makes so much sense, Kim. I understand why you guys do it that way. So she'll actually have more context around why we have the automated video. Does that make sense?
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I love what you're saying. So my question is, if you say, hey, are you the kind of person who likes to watch a video, or would you rather jump on the call? And they go, oh, actually, yeah, videos are hard for me. I'd rather jump on the call. And then we chat and do everything you're saying. And then I go, but actually watch the video. Does that kind of send them on like a, but I thought I don't like to watch videos. Like, how do
You
you
just
kind of,
no, you want to word it in a way where it doesn't like bite you in the butt, right? So you don't want to
okay.
say, are you the type of person that like to watch video? You just want to say, would you like to watch the web class first? Or would you
uh,
like to speak to me first on a Zoom?
love it. Okay. That makes a
And
lot of sense.
then and so then they're like, yeah, I'll talk to you first. Now remember, this isn't necessarily scalable. So if you have 10, 20,
Yeah.
30 leads a day, you're not going to
Yeah.
necessarily have the time to offer this. So this doesn't apply to everybody. But if you're somebody who isn't making a lot of sales, you're looking to make your first sale, or you're
Mhm.
just kind of in the early days of lead generation, then a really good way to overcome what's going on is just getting on the phone with more people to have that more direct experience, because you're going to learn so much so fast having those conversations that, especially if you record them, we can identify what you're not doing well very quickly.
If you record them.
Well, yeah, like reviewing the conversation. And
That's
so I have an idea. I think you guys will probably really like this. So for those of you in the mentorship that are doing calls and closing sales, would you be open to recording them and sharing them in the group when you made a sale, when you converted the sale, and sharing a recording in the Facebook group for us to be able to listen back to for everybody who's struggling? And then anybody who is doing calls and didn't close a sale, post that also, and then we'll go in there and we'll give you feedback and review. Because I think like the real world situations, like word for word, like it might even be like when I did door-to-door training and I was teaching people how to do door-to-door sales, majority of my coaching was on body language, tonality, how they were standing, how they were dressing. You know what I'm saying? So like if you share a Zoom call, I might be like, "Oh my gosh, like your lighting is brutal," or like they don't for sure don't trust you when you're dressed like that. Like it might be stuff like that where it's not even what you're saying. So there might be some coaching that you're not even expecting, because I can really put myself in that situation when you share that. So I think this would be really valuable from both sides of the coin. People that are making sales, crushing it, closing trifectas and quads, if you're happy to share and contribute to the everybody else. And then simultaneously, if you're struggling, you're going through the motions, it seems good, but you're just not closing it, share as well, and we can give some feedback. Sound good? Is everybody down for that? Okay, sweet. So back to the point, Kim, is your rapport building skills and your ability to make a friend and do that, I feel like is really one of your strengths for sure. But you also need to find the intuitiveness, like really listen to your intuition in those conversations. Now it's time to be real. Now
mm,
it's time to get serious. Now it's time to be the Kim that can change your life. And the only way I can change your life is if I ask you some uncomfortable, tough questions and you give me the radical truth.
right.
And if I can ask you the tough questions and you can give me the tough answers, we can make some magic happen here and set you free.
Yeah.
And
That
remember,
makes
like if they're coming to you, there's one specific nuance here that is also important to keep in mind, is who is starting the conversation. If you go to them, you handle it slightly differently than if they come to you. And this is why, there's a big difference between outreach for lead gen and attraction marketing or ads where they opt in or they DM you first, because your positioning and how you can kind of handle yourself is going to be slightly different, because one, it's obvious they're coming to you to solve their problems and you have shared some information with them that makes them feel like you can help them. And so you have to keep that posture through the whole conversation and not screw that up. On the other hand, if you're reaching out to them, you're there's most likely going to be a level of, are they just talking to me because they want to sell me something, energy initially that you have to overcome by
yeah.
the relationship building stuff. And typically it's a little bit slower. Um, What I do in that sense when you're doing the outreach is you have a great conversation. And then the bridge between the conversation to the business is something along the lines of, hey, look, I just want to let you know that I have an online business where I help people. And then you fill in the blank with like an elevator pitch. So my favorite way to do an elevator pitch is to describe somebody's situation and have them agree with you. So if like you're talking to, let's say, someone on Instagram, and you check their feed with their posts and they have tons of mommy pictures and pictures with their kids and like strollers and toddlers and any content like that. Well, there's going to be an obvious mom demographic of mom stuff, struggling of mom life and balancing and so forth and so forth. So you can literally say to them in the DMs after having a back and forth conversation, be like, by the way, do you know how moms really struggle to have free time and create their own income when they have young children? It's like a question.
Mm,
And you're saying it like, by the way. So it's almost like a side combo. And so you describe the situation that they're most likely in. And the goal is for them to reply back and be like, yeah, totally. Are you serious? Like, that's my life. Like, you want it to be this, like, yes, you freaking nailed it, right? That's how you want to frame the question. And so if you say it like this and they reply back with a unanimous, fuck yeah, you're right, then you go, well, what I do is I help moms create an online business that helps them create freedom and generate their own income so they can outsource some help around the house, spend more time with their family, travel, and, not feel like mom life, blah, 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 whatever, like make it sound good. And then be like, is that something that you would like to learn more about? Is that something you're
Mm.
open to if it doesn't interfere with your regular life? One of the oldest network marketing, like recruiting questions that there has ever been that I know of is, are you open to other business opportunities if it doesn't interfere with your, full-time job or your full-time income?
Mm.
That's like the oldest line in the book.
Wow.
Do you keep your business options open if it doesn't interfere with your full-time job or a full-time business? And they either say yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
And if they say no, you're like, that's fine. If you ever change your mind, hit me up or keep your eyes on my social media as you see me helping other people and making my dreams come true. And it's just a timing thing. Yeah, that's another powerful one, Carrie, is like, have you ever considered working online? Have you ever considered making income online? Have you ever considered, transitioning to an online business? These are all great questions. But from a very targeted transition, describing their pain point and having them agree before you say something like, have you ever considered working online, is going to be much more effective because they
Mm.
now feel like the solution you're presenting is specifically for their problem. So, like, if you guys are ever out and about and you have your Enagic Kangen water bottle with you, or you're in an elevator, or you're at a networking event, you're at a business conference, anywhere in public, at an airport, airplane, restaurant, cafe, anywhere where there's just public people around you, and you happen to meet someone and strike up a conversation and just like make a friend and talk to them, and it comes up and they say, by the way, what do you do? Like maybe you're on your laptop at a coffee shop and you have your big Kangen water jug beside you. And then someone sits down beside you reading their book and they're kind of looking over at you and you're typing away and you're doing some ads and they kind of see your screen and they're curious. By the way, what do you do? This is the opportunity to say what I just said. So you turn around, you have a first impression. Let's say they're older. Let's say they're a mother. Let's say they're wearing a suit and they're an entrepreneur or a corporate executive. You can read people quite quickly just by looking at them. 5 seconds, right? You have a pretty good idea who they may be. Maybe you're not 100% accurate, but you have a pretty good idea. So you can say, let's say the person is in a suit right beside you drinking a coffee. They're maybe on their lunch break or I don't know, something like that, or waiting for a potential prospect to come meet them at the coffee shop. You can say like, how entrepreneurs or how salespeople or how corporate executives, whatever you feel like fits the description, are always busy and they're making good income, but they have very little time freedom. Something as simple as that. The person be like, yeah, that's me. Be like, well, I help corporate professionals. I help salespeople create a secondary income online, secondary leveraged income online so they can earn more and also walk away from their careers and live with freedom if they wish. And then you shut up. And then they go, oh, wow, that sounds really interesting. Do you have any more? Do you have any information? How can I learn more? How can I connect with you? Do you have a phone number? Do you have a card? And then usually what I do is I just go, nah, I don't really do business cards, but let's connect on social media. And then I'll find them right away on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever is appropriate. And then I'll connect with them there. And then once you connect with them there, what you want to do is continue to interact with their content. So like their posts, comment on their posts, because then the algorithm will start to feed your content to their feed. And then now you're doing like business related lead gen content and they'll start seeing it. And then there's a likely chance that they reach out and that they want to learn more. Does that help?
Yeah, really amazing. A
Yeah.
lot.
So as soon as like your rapport building is there, you're connecting with family and stuff, just the biggest takeaway is to focus on how can you identify the pain that they want to avoid and talk directly about it. Bring it out
Yeah,
into the open. Have them share something vulnerable that is really raw and real. Once
yeah,
they do, share something raw and real right back. Now you're on the same level. Now shit just got real. And
right.
then you basically lead them through a multiple choice. It's called a crossroads close, where you're giving them two choices to select from, but either one they choose is still guiding them to where you want them to go. So if I ask you, would you like to pay cash or credit card? Do I care which one you choose? You're still paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to watch a video or get on a call? Do I care which one you choose? Nope. Because we're still taking you one step further down the path. You understand what
Right.
I'm saying? So
Yes.
even at the very end of a sales call, instead of saying, "Are you ready to get started?" like some people say, which is just this weird question that doesn't even sound natural, you basically just go, "Great. Would you like to put it on a credit card or apply for financing?" Does it matter which one they choose? Not really. And so they feel like they're in control. It's kind of like how you handle toddlers, right? I give my toddler two choices, and either one, she feels like she's in control, but we're really getting the job done what we want. It's very similar,
That's so great.
right?
Yeah.
But if you tell a toddler what to do, oh, all hell breaks loose, right? But if you give them two choices, they're like, yeah, I'm. So it's kind of like that with our leads.
That's really cool. Can I quickly share? I love everything you're saying, where she is now, and then how to take it home, maybe, because now I'm
Sure.
kind of
Yeah.
a little backwards, but kind of
Yeah.
actually did do what you said, kind of naturally
Let's
came
do it.
up. Actually was in, okay, cool. She was actually in the hospital, is totally what you're saying. You're so right. She was in an emergency room with her husband who cut his finger off doing his manual labor job.
I
Cut the
can
tip.
relate to that.
Look at that. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. I remember. That's so crazy. I just
Yeah.
you are telling that. Well, yes. So you can totally relate. She was in the hospital and was like, that's why she reached out. And so then when I asked her, she was basically telling me about that. And I said, oh my God, is he okay? Like, I'm so sorry to hear that happen. Thanks for sharing that with me. And then she shared that she wants to be able to like keep her husband home and like not, because if he gets hurt, then they have all their source of income is gone. And she's like taking care of the young kids. And so I said, wow, yeah, that sounds really hard. I think it's so smart that you're thinking about building an online income. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. Actually, my husband's a massage therapist, and we felt the same way. If he gets hurt, we don't have any income. And like, we better get online. And like, I really relate, right? Like, I want to retire my husband. That's why I'm doing this. And like, that's been my goal. And so I like, she's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Da da da. And then it was then that and then it's like, yeah, girl. And then we're still connecting. And then I send her the webinar. And now she's basically like, I said, hey, did you check that out? I followed up with her, what was your favorite part of that? Would love to hear more. And she said, oh, I haven't had time to watch it yet, but I'm going to watch it, this week. And I'm like, okay, great. I'll circle back or whatever. And that's where we are. But now it feels kind of like open-ended and a little sloppy, and it's like she has urgency, but I didn't do the crossroad question, I don't think. And I didn't create that, like, how much do you need this kind of thing,
Yeah,
direct.
exactly. You're on the right track for sure. So the only thing that I would probably do differently
Yeah.
is at that point when they're at the hospital, they had the injury, she had the trigger, she reached out.
Yeah.
Um, I would just assume the sale right there.
Wow.
Like obviously this comes with, many, many, many years of sales and a lot of confidence and certainty. But at this point, I would say, great. When can you hop on the phone so I can show you exactly how to get started so you can be on your path to bring your husband home as soon as possible?
Mm,
And I'm skipping the webinar. I'm skipping all the BS back and forth stuff.
yeah.
Not that the webinar isn't important. It is. It's just almost a diversion from somebody who's a hot lead ready to start now. It's like
Right.
I'm sending them into the fridge where the webinar is, and I'm going to go over there and cool them off.
Oh no.
When technically in that particular situation, they're hot and ready to go, and they're like, so when we talk about avoiding pain, they were actually in the pain of the
Yeah.
hospital with the injury. So it's as real as it gets. But then they started thinking about, well, I want to avoid any more of this future pain also. I don't want this to be a reoccurring pain. But in that pain is when they can make a decision right away and go, okay, right?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
So this is the thing, guys. Most of you think you're going too fast, but you're too scared to actually find out.
Mm,
That's the thing, is that you've never actually gone too fast. You've been afraid of going too fast, and you've never even tried. So part of learning sales is to find out the balance between what really is too fast. And it's not your place to assume it's too fast. It's the prospect's place to tell you it's too fast. And if they don't
right.
tell you it's too fast, it's actually the perfect speed. So we
Right.
assume, oh, I don't want to overstep. I don't want to insult them. I don't want to go too fast. It's all us projecting onto them. But unless they say to us, hey, whoa, slow down there, Kim. Settle down, Kim. Like, do you actually think this person would have said that? I don't
No.
think so. I think they would have thanked you. I think they would have honestly thanked you and said, thank you so much, Kim. I've been thinking about this for so long. Now my husband not finally, that's the wrong choice of words. Now my husband got hurt, and I've never been more ready to do something about it now, right now. Thank you. Thank you for just, leading me into the solution and helping me get started. Because if I would
Mm.
have waited even a day, I would have probably put it off again,
Ugh.
which is what is happening now.
Yeah. So, man, that is, you're totally right. That's totally what's happening. I love what you're saying about like, let her tell me stop. And that's the confidence that you're,
Yes, that's what I mean. So
which
so
is so cool.
when we say assume the sale, it's
Mhm.
the conviction and belief that all of us need to have is, of course they would do it. Of course they would start. Of course now is the perfect time to do this.
Mm,
That is the conviction. Why would anybody not do this? Why would anybody not start?
mm,
That is absolutely insanely ridiculous. So we need to we need to shift it from
yeah.
being surprised when someone wants to buy and get started, like, wow, oh, okay, hold on, I don't even know where my papers are, like, I don't even know how to close this sale, right? Like, that's how most people are. They're literally genuinely shocked if something goes their way how it's supposed to go, rather
Yeah.
than the person with the full conviction is a person who's like, you serious? You're going to wait on this? Are you sure?
Hmm.
Like, you're shocked that they're not doing it right away. That's the switch.
Hmm.
You got to flip that.
That's so great. Right.
And
That's amazing.
how you can test if they're ready is you can be like, hey, when's a good time to get on the phone so we could fill out the forms and get you plugged in right away? Like, that's a strong, like, confident question. And then that would, if they respond back like, yeah, how about you call me tonight? Man, that's a sale. Like, it's ready, it's done. But if they
Yeah.
say like, well, I still got it. Like, if they kind of backpedal a little bit, then be like, hey, okay, why don't we just get on the phone and see what the best options are? And then we can go from there. So you're still actually insisting on the call. You're just toning down what the call is about because you kind of felt the bit of a resistance, right?